Our first conversation today is extraordinary for reasons that are not immediately obvious. What does it take before you're old enough to hold a toy to have a sitar in your hand? What does it take to have your life's journey predetermined before you were born? What does it take to be the seventh in a line of such extraordinary accomplishment that you are at once privileged and burdened by it? And after that, what does it take both to do honor to that legacy, but also to forge your very individual voice in that storied legacy, where you are as much a keeper of it as well as your own person? Ustad Shujaat Khan, of course, is from the Imdad Khani Gharana. As I said, he's the seventh of that legacy. But he is also one of the most radical collaborators in music across genres. So his particular felicity with the sitar now goes over 50 years, and that really needs no talking about. But it is also him as an exponent of music across genres, as breaking those barriers between classical and folk, between Sufi and Bhakti, and bringing them all into his realm. That is really extraordinary. He has, over 100 musical releases to his name. He has collaborated on a Grammy-nominated album. And he has demonstrated that you can both honor legacy and honor yourself at the same time. It is an absolute privilege to have Ustad Shujaat Khan. Thank you, Shujaat, for being here. And I referred to it, but it really is, I think, quite literally true that your father had decided while your mother was pregnant that you were going to be a boy and that you were going to be a sitar player. Is that true?
True.
And how did your mother feel about that?
Not too good.
So,
You can imagine when you're 6 months, 8 months pregnant, and you're having to go and listen to all-night music concerts, and pillows were put around you and you're sitting there and listening. But it is a belief that my father had that, no, this is a son and he's going to play music. So he should be listening to music now. So that is what my mother had to go through. But that's probably not a bad thing now.
and when you kind of came to consciousness, music was already in your household. There were students, and your father, Ustad Bilal Khan, was just a true legend across generations, not just of his generation. But he had students, there were music contemporaries. By the time you were 2.5 years old, you had a sitar, is that true?
It's true, again.
And
yeah.
Did you know what to do with it?
No. See, what happens is, they're all close friends of mine, so they invite me. I just wonder, my father used to say that, I thought one day he was talking to me and then he said, musicians are like oil paintings. I thought this was a great compliment. Basically what he was saying is if you go too close, you see all the mistakes. So I understood then that I'm just an Indian classical musician, and I'm not going to be anything different. This realization came to me very early in life. I was already practicing, like you said. At 3, there were little sitars kept with my toys, and then you start playing them like others are doing, my students and my father, and you gradually start doing it because it becomes a very natural movement, natural thought process. We leave cars around, play with toys. So I think it was very easy and a very natural way for one person to start music. The problems come later.
And I was coming to the later. What did that childhood of talim, relentless talim, what did it do for you, but also what did it take from you?
You're very right. There is growing into that kind of family, there is a plus point which everyone can see, is being the son of Ustad Bilal Khan, having a teacher at home, music all around you all the time. But there's a different part of it. Everything is not always nice. And all your life, all my life, I am going to be known as Shujaat Khan, yes. But for a long time when I was younger, it was always this connection with Ustad Shujaat Khan, which I am extremely proud and privileged. But it was always a comparison. It's not just a connection. अरे ये उनका बेटा है, ठीक है. Now, the connection is आप उनके जैसा भैरवी बजाते हो, आप उनके जैसा ये, and not understanding that I am my own personality, my own character, and I need to do things my way. So it took a lot of time, and in doing that, one loses a childhood. I'm not doing this to elicit any sympathy, but when I was 8 and 9 years old, with my father traveling or them going through their separations and all that, one gets painfully aware of you grow up quicker, and it is a difficult time. So the childhood gets taken away because when I'm 8 or 9 or 10, I'm going to school in the daytime. In the evening, I get a little bit of time to do my games or something. I sleep for 2-3 hours, and then I have to practice all night. So I practice from 10. आप किसी अपने बच्चे को, ग्रैंड चिल्ड्रन को जाके बोलिए 8-9 को जरा सारे रात प्रैक्टिस करो तो पुलिस को बुलवा देगा, right? It's just now it is supposed to be torture. Hey, you're asking a person to, but for us in our families, the question to ask, say yes or no didn't exist. So it was pressure, agreed. But again, it turns out okay at some stage. You have to, if you can, find a balance and understand that those years gone, but musically, years that you imbibe, they put you right ahead of a lot of people.
And I wanted to come to that, but just first to go also to your childhood, some part of which was spent in Shimla, that's right. And you've said somewhere that you were almost like a poor little rich boy. It's a bit of the Richie Rich story. Why did you feel like a poor little rich boy?
Because everyone around me was having a lot of fun. All my friends were having a great time. But all the world has ever seen of me is this Black Khan's son. So they see a golden spoon in my mouth, which is great. Most चम्मच के ऊपर क्या कड़वी चीज रखी है, that no one can see. So it's difficult, but again, I don't like to dwell on it. Growing up in the mountain, I got an opportunity to grow up in Simla. It was beautiful. So much nature, the changing of seasons, colors, the snow, the autumn, everything. And these things, when you grow up, they stay with you. And as you go through life and you sing and play your music, it comes out and it makes it much warmer for us.
And by the time you were 6, you had your first concert. And it wasn't just, you playing a few notes. You played a full, I think, 30-minute piece. Will you tell us a little about that?
No, it's again...
For purposes of this conversation, you will have to set humility aside.
No.
To be playing a concert at 6 is extraordinary by any reckoning.
It is, I agree. I agree that I'm pretty good.
You don't say.
Sorry. But if you are performing at 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, that is no credit to me at all. That is where the credit goes to your teacher, how he has coaxed you, cajoled, pushed, come back, to see that you have practiced 2, 3, 4 hours a day for 2, 3 years already at that age, and you can get up and perform for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but a proper rag with the tabla player, go through the whole thing. That, I think, putting humility aside, I think if that has to belong to, that credit has to go to my teacher. Right?
And I do want to come to your father as your teacher, but I also wanted to explore a bit about, was it a difficult relationship with him as a father? Because as a teacher, he was an extraordinary teacher to have access to at home. What was he like as a father?
I have been often asked this question. A legend, like Ustad Shujaat Khan and all other, they live in their own world. And it was very nice for a certain time when I was younger. As soon as it became 8, 9, 10, 11, our relationship really started changing, because the part where he was my teacher, was very fine. There was this one way he said, and I did. It was okay. But as I started growing and started becoming a man, started having my own thoughts, my own ideas, then the problem started. कौन इधर बैठा होगा मर्दों में जिनके बाप के साथ कोई अनबन परेशानी नहीं होती होगी? This is a normal thing. As you grow older, generations come against each other. For me, it was more because I am very much like him, and for me, it was not okay to just say yes to everything that was happening around me. And all the students, these great artists, something that I've tried not to have. Today, I came, I flew in, I went to my room, I woke up, took a shower. Nina was very kind. Can I send someone up to your room to breathe? अरे भाई इतना सारा स्कूल में क्या एजुकेशन के लिफ्ट में L4 5 दबाने में मुश्किल तो नहीं होना चाहिए. So this trappings of having people around you, students sitting around you, this I never enjoyed. So I think it started from there, is that I wanted to have a different, normal life, and there were clashes. So there were problems all my life with him. But the good thing is, because the bond between the student and teacher was so strong that everything else used to come to an end, which is when we sat together or we played together, it was a whole different realm. Right?
But while you were navigating this process of being the son, at about 17 or 18, you decided to leave the country for a while, and you went to the US. Will you tell us a little about what that was?
I think the whole idea was to get away from here, because here I was always compared to him. Everyone knew who I was. There I could go and get a music concert just because I was Shujaat Khan. But there were other ways. I mean, here I was going through a rough period, and I was talking to people. I used to go somewhere and say, "भाई मुझे कोई काम मिल जाए." अरे आप तो विलायत खान साहब के बेटे हैं, आपको क्या काम मिलेगा? So I understood that it didn't. So I could. It was nice because I could go and spend some time, look at the world, understand how it was to live without 8 Mercedes Benzes and 12-bedroom homes and 40 people looking after you. It was nice. There were times I got to learn a lot. I met wonderful people. I did things like one of the things I did was I worked at a restaurant, a Spanish restaurant, and I used to play the guitar. But it was in a very high end. It was 78, 79. उधर सब लोग जो आते थे वो सोचते थे कि मैं स्पेनिश गाना गा रहा हूँ. तो गिटार बैठ के गाना वो ही गा रहा था. Something like इन आँखों की मस्ती के, उसको थोड़ा इन आँखों की मस्ती के, और गिटार बैठे थोड़े डाल दिया. So they were very happy. Oh भैया ये तो. And then when an authentic person walked in who knew the language, तो doorman मुझे दिखा देता था कि अब तो डिश वॉशिंग करने चले जाओ. It's been a wonderful life, and really that's when I met artists, and I understood that there is a world after Indian classical music also. हमारा culture बहुत great है, but the whole world is also great, and we get to learn wonderful people, get together with him, and meet them on a normal level and spend time together. It was wonderful.
And I wanted to come to, of course, your relationship, of course, with your father as teacher, but also the music greats around you, access to whom really influenced your learning. But there's a particular incident that you've spoken of earlier that it's extraordinary again for what it shows. I think there's a particular time where आप रियाज़ कर रहे थे and your father made you play till your fingers bled, and then he still did not let you stop. You had to continue playing, right? And on the one hand, that seems utterly cruel. But when you finished playing and you went into another room, he was weeping, right?
Yes.
Now, and my question is not only specific to you, it is specific to the pursuit of art in that way, even sport for that matter. Is a degree of cruelty necessary for that quality of excellence?
I'm sorry, this might sound a little harsh, but it is. A degree of cruelty is needed. कभी आपने सुना है एक राजा का बेटा बहुत ग्रेट स्पोर्ट्समैन या बहुत ग्रेट म्यूजिशियन बन गया? It has to be millions में से एक. When you have an extreme amount of comfort and everything is okay, then there is no motivation, there is no reason to push yourself, to hurt your body, to kill yourself, for what? किस चीज़ के लिए आप वाई हो, क्या करना है? पैसे कमाने, पैसे तो है ही ना, थोड़ी इज्जत वो भी हो जाएगी, थोड़ा कुछ ऐसा कर लो आप, तो थोड़ा सा पैसा दे दो तो पेपर में नाम भी आ जाएगा, तो फोटो भी आ गई, तो वो भी खत्म हो गया. So I do understand, yes, but all I want to say is for all the younger people here, if you can somehow make your peace with mediocrity, you're happy. That should be perfect. I'm very happy. But if you don't, if whatever you do, if you want to accept, if you want to go better, if you want to go past mediocrity, then you have to hurt your body, you have to hurt yourself. And then if you want to be the best, then you have to hurt your body a lot. And that's all. That's all. That's all.
And what did that affect your relationship with the sitar? Did you at any point resent the music?
A little bit. I always enjoyed, but I was just thinking, kuch aur karte, aisa karte. But I was also, at that time, I was very fortunate to be spending a lot of time with great artists of my father's. There was Ustad Shujaat, who used to come and spend loads of time with us at our home, Pandit Bhimsen Joshi. I got to sit and I got to learn from them. And I realized that this art is just not about picking up the sitar and strumming it. It's about charm, and it's about dignity. It is about grace of how you lead your life, how you go through times, and the enjoyment it gives you, and the enjoyment it gives other people. And I realized that there was, even at that time and today, there is an alternative. There एक अलग चीज़ चल रही है. मैं आपको 2 मिनट सुनाऊं?
Absolutely.
I'm just 2 lines आपको सुना सकूंगा. It's we are looking for an alternative in our times, and what I wanted is, this is some things that I have got from learning and seeing people. Just 2 different thought processes. एक बंदिश है. डगर जगत मुझसे छीनी डगर जगत मुझसे जात रही सब सखियन साथ डगर चलत मुस्किनी डगर चलत मुस्किनी रात मुझसे छेड़खानी कर रहे. अब ये एक तरीका है. आप सोचिए कि this is still fun. People are having लड़का लड़की को छेड़ रहा है. It's the same thing over the years. डगर चलत मुझसे छीनी रार जात रही सब सखियन साथ डगर. अभी अल्फाज भी हैं. उसको आज के ज़माने में शॉर्टकट में मैं तो रास्ते से जा रहा था, भेलपुरी खा रहा था, तुझे मिर्ची लगी तो मैं क्या. This is an alternative में नशा, सुरूर, इन आँखों की मस्ती के मस्ताने हजारों हैं, मस्ताने हजारों हैं, इन आँखों में वाबस्ता अफसाने हजारों हैं, अफसाने हजारों हैं, इन आँखों की मस्ती की. ये भी एक तरीका है सुरूर का. दूसरे साहब कोई कह रहे हैं 4 बोतल वोडका पीता हूँ मैं रोज. मैं मैं सिर्फ एक शास्त्रीय कलाकार हूँ, मगर बस मैं एक अल्टरनेटिव आपको पेश करना चाहता हूँ ज़िंदगी में, आपके नेक्स्ट जनरेशन के, कि ये सब हमने सीखा, एक सभ्यता, डिग्निटी, कल्चर, ट्रेडिशन, ये सब कुछ मिल के इंसान पेश करे। और तो अब नाम ही अगर आपने यो यो रख लिया तो आगे कैसे चलना चाहिए?
You know, and I did want to come to, because what you've alluded to is so much of your learning was also outside the traditional, process of sitting with the sitar. And I think there's a particular incident I'd love you to recount, because you speak of in Shimla going to a picnic in Naldera, and your father emphasizing learning how to listen, and will you tell us a little bit about that? I think there was Pandit Bhimsen Joshi and...
जी, मैं पहले भी बात कर चुका हूँ कि they used to get music from all different sides. I mean, and हम लोग का आजकल क्या है कि मास्टर जी को पैसे दो और 1 घंटे सीख के lesson. Someone writes to me, Ustad ji, I'd like to learn from you. I said, why? Because I'm passing through Delhi and it's convenient. तो ऐसे भैया मैं महंगा हूँ थोड़ा सा, तो कोई बात नहीं, बट अच्छा महंगा है आप, तो कितने घंटे का टाइम होता है? तो ऐसे तू कितने घंटे सीख सकेगा? 10 मिनट के बाद तेरा दिमाग खत्म हो जाता है ना, 15-10. नो कैन आई गेट एन 1 hour 15 minute lesson? तो ये सब ridiculous बातें होती हैं. और not to understand कि the time you spend with music, if you're with friends, the time you spend with your friends, just talking, laughing, reminiscing, memories. ये I used to see them. अब आप imagine करिए, उस्ताद विलायत खान साहब, उस्ताद अमीर खान साहब, पंडित भीमसेन जोशी, शांता प्रसाद जी, किशन महाराज जी, ऐसे बड़े-बड़े artists used to come to Simla to holiday with my father. So sometimes they used to all go out for a picnic. So we all went for a picnic. It was great because that day I didn't have to practice. वो तो मेरा तो एक outlet हो गया. But I have grown up seeing these people exchange music, because हम लोग ऐसे थे जैसे नौकर लोग, students, and we used to just stand around all night. Of course we were cursing them. इन लोग सोते क्यों नहीं हैं? पी रहे हैं, बात कर रहे हैं. Why don't they go to sleep 5 o'clock? But today I realize that their conversations, everything was to do with music. This is how they exchanged their love and affection for you. तो picnic पे चले गए, and then we went up to this glade kind of thing with trees around, and everyone was sitting and the cooking started and whatever was going. I noticed for a couple of minutes there was all these artists were sitting together, and then they fell totally silent. They were absolutely quiet. मैं सोचा घर पे तो बहुत बात करते हैं लोग, इधर आके क्यों चुप हो गए? But I realized because I sat with them, और मैं भी चुपचाप देखो क्या, and I could then hear. आप कभी शिमला जाओ, पहाड़ों में जाओ, दोपहर के टाइम पे that breeze that passes through the trees ना, that has music. वो अलग-अलग सुरों में निकलती हैं, depending on how fast it is going. Then you can hear the little birds a little bit. You can hear the streams, this gurgling of the water. फिर आप दूर कहीं कोई वो घंटी बांधते हैं ना, वो गाय भैंस में वो चल रही है, वो टिंग टिंग बीच में सुन रहे हैं. Later on in life, when I'm performing, basically my concert is really telling you stories of my life or parts of my life. I can go back to this and actually think and imagine all these and present it to you. So it's a beautiful time. Questions. We used to ask, and I remember I used to ask ridiculous questions. तो पूछते थे, और आपको मैं उस दिन बता रहा था ना, मेरे को ऐसे सवाल किए. मैं टेलीफोन, हमारे दोस्त बैठे हैं. I was going to give this phone to him just before I came on stage, but then I thought that I should keep it with me, because if I didn't find this, no one would believe me. एक message है, Ustad ji, please let us know what rag is good for a pregnant lady. अभी मैंने बोला भाई ये तो मुझे नहीं मालूम. I know there are few rags that are good for making ladies pregnant. ऐसा तो होता है. तो आर्टिस्ट से questions हमारे चाहे कैसे भी हो, ridiculous हो, कुछ भी हो, we used to talk, we used to ask. It was a great time.
I wanted to come to the music itself, and I'm very glad you've given me license to ask a rather, hopefully not ridiculous, but certainly very basic question. Because I think one of the things we take for granted is an understanding of what is the Gharana system, right? You're the seventh in the line of the Imdad Khani Gharana. How does a Gharana come to be found, and what does it stand for? What does the Imdad Khani Gharana stand for?
Okay. Again, a gharana, as you all know, is a very simple way. Gharana means ghar, house or a home of music. So when an artist became very famous, or other, this lineage started, they had to name that gharana. They said, so it was like, where is their home? It was named usually after a very famous artist of that lineage, or where they were from. So it's a very simple thing. For me, I think everything changed in my family. After 5-6 generations, Ustad Shujaat Khan Sahab, my father, brought into instrumental music something that is called the Gayaki Ang. And the Gayaki Ang is the vocal style. My grandfather died very young, and my father spent a lot of time with his maternal side of the family who were singers. So हम लोग में क्या हो गया कि हम लोग गा के सीखते थे. So when on the instrument, at one time there was only right hand work. It was very staccato. But what Ustad Shujaat had introduced is the version of vocality through the instrument. So he could pick up a song. He started performing. He started bringing folk music into sitar, which was never done. तो उसके बाद बहुत गालियाँ भी खाते थे क्या है ये. But the realization that music is wonderful. It doesn't, like it said, म्यूजिक खराब नहीं है, उसके अल्फाज आप क्या डाल दें उससे म्यूजिक अच्छा या खराब हो सकता है. So I think what our Gharana stands for is vocality through instrumental music.
And I know you don't have the sitar. Is it possible to give an example of what you mean by vocality through?
कोई भी मैं ये अपने साथ रख लेता हूँ. It gives me some semblance of कोई भी सरे गा परे मग सगरे सनि पध पनि रे पण गर सनि धनि स. अब मैंने एक दिन 2 लाइनें सुनी. सरे गा ग रे सनि ध रे ग स. ये लाइन अच्छी लगी. फिर I heard some words somewhere. जिंदगी से बड़ी सजा ही नहीं, जिंदगी से बड़ी सजा ही नहीं, और क्या जुर्म है पता ही नहीं. Now इसके सारे गारे सानी धारे, तो put the notes and the words and the tune together. इतने हिस्सों में बट गया हूँ मैं, इतने हिस्सों में बट गया हूँ मैं, मेरे हिस्से में कुछ बचा ही नहीं. पसगप मगरे नी पानी रे मगरे धनी सा. तो उस दिन बैठे हुए थे लता जी के साथ, तो ऐसी बातचीत हो रही थी, तो ये सुना रहा था, तो कहने लगी ये तो नोट्स मैंने पुराना एक गाना गाया था. पगरे गा गा रे ससरे मगरे नी लग जा गले की हंसी रात हो न हो. शायद फिर इस जन्म मुलाकात हो न हो पकड़ेगा। इस तरह हम लोग उसको मिलाते हैं जी। We put the words beautiful.
One of the challenges of performing classical is also, as I think as you said, that you get into a zone and then there's the interpretation there is you bring your own particular flavor. How has that been a challenge when performing in organized settings where, you know, especially I think the Western traditions are very time bound, this piece is this many minutes and so on. And in the classical, Hindustani classical tradition, ek raag 6 ghante bhi ban sakta hai. How has that proved a challenge when performing outside the country?
To a certain extent. It's a absolutely wonderful question, because our music should not be time bound. Just give an artist, if you respect him enough, give him an instrument and ask him to play for you. Let him take time to develop what he's developing and present it. So, आप पहले से अगर ये बंदिश रखिएगा, all the biggest theaters in the world, Carnegie Hall, Royal Albert Hall, जब मैं उधर बजाता हूँ, they write to me, please tell us exactly the pieces that you will play, the rags and how long. 6 महीने पहले, साल भर पहले पूछते हैं. It's their tradition, which is wonderful. I have to write back to them and say, I'm sorry, I don't know what I want to eat in December 31st. Do you know? आपका क्या मूड होगा? तो ये जोर जबरदस्ती नहीं होनी चाहिए. It is not fixed music. ना, it's not that I'm going to play Tchaikovsky का ये है, Rachmaninoff ये. So they don't understand. I say, bhai, so when will you get to know? I say, when I will come to the theater. When I reach the theater, when I go there and I sit down and I start tuning my instrument for sound check, then I will feel what I want to play. Depends on how I'm feeling. मेरे अंदर क्या तकलीफ है या क्या खुशी चल रही है. Maybe I've got a big tour I just signed before coming here, so I'm excited. Maybe कोई इंसान इधर बैठा हुआ है, आपने फिक्स किया है कि इस टाइम पे आएगा, उसके घर पे कुछ तकलीफ हो सकती है, परेशानी हो सकती है, some crisis, तो उसका जो इफेक्ट आता है, so you choose your music according to that. So there is an issue, but I understand that to a certain extent. I also understand if I listen, if someone says because वो half an hour बजाना है, I say no, I'm sorry, you have to give me at least an hour and 15 minutes. फिर interval रखो या नहीं रखो. But Ustad Shujaat, my God, they used to have a great time. एक दफा City Fort in Delhi, huge, 5,000 people sitting there, and when he's tuning in his room, and this man comes running in. जी आप कौन हैं? जी मैं सोनिया गांधी जी और राजीव गांधी का सेक्रेटरी हूँ. तो जी बताइए क्या करें? आपका कॉन्सर्ट 8 o'clock शुरू हो रहा है, but they are stuck somewhere. They will only be able to come here. Opening करने आना है at 8:30. So please make an interval at 8:30. Make it convenient for them then to come on stage and do the opening, and then you can carry on because then they will leave. So विलायत खान साहब तो विलायत खान साहब थे, उस जमाने की बात अलग थी. मेरी तरफ देखा, शुजात ये क्या कह रहे हैं ऐसे, आपने जो सुना वही कह रहा है. तो हम लोग और उसका आते थे, हमारे तो हिम्मत नहीं थी, बट विलायत खान साहब उनको क्या था, क्या कर लोगे तुम, अवार्ड नहीं दोगे, वो तो मैंने पहले ही मना कर दिया है. घर नहीं दोगे, वो मुझे चाहिए नहीं. फ्री टिकट नहीं दोगे, वो मुझे चाहिए नहीं. मुझे तुम्हारा कुछ चाहिए नहीं, तो तुम किस चीज़ से डराओगे मुझे. तो स्टेज पे चढ़ के, एंड माय फादर वाज वेरी गुड फ्रेंड्स विद इंदिरा जी, विद जवाहरलाल नेहरू. तो ऐसे बजा रहे हैं, शुरू करा, और मैं देख रहा हूँ कि आलाप बजा रहे हैं, एंड ही हैजंट इवन रीच्ड 1/10 ऑफ द स्पेस ऑफ आलाप येट, हाफ एन आवर. ओ राजीव गांधी जी, सोनिया गांधी जी आके बैठ गए. विलायत खान साहब ने रुके, ओहो आप लोग सब लोग ताली बजा के इस्तकबाल करिए. देखिए हमारे देश के वजीर सोनिया गांधी जी और राजीव गांधी जी, इनके मैं बाप को जानता हूँ, माँ को जानता हूँ, दादा को जानता हूँ, मैं इनके बहुत करीब हूँ. एंड दे आर द अपहोल्डर्स ऑफ इंडियन ट्रेडिशन. दे आर सो कल्चर्ड. और ये वो पॉलिटिशियन नहीं है. अभी देखिए ये आए हैं और इतना मुझे रिस्पेक्ट करते हैं कि जब तक मैं खत्म नहीं करूँगा जाएंगे ही नहीं. वो बेचारे अपना सारा अपॉइंटमेंट्स कैंसिल करके 2.5 घंटे बैठे रहे. तो ये भी तरीका है. There are ways to get things done.
Your own music has also, we spoke briefly of it, you brought in folk. You have also a particular, I think, affinity for both Kabir and Amir Khusro.
Ji.
And will you tell us what about those really appeal to you, and how have you kind of incorporated that into your music?
See, very often when people meet musicians, there's that dreaded bell, so I'm going to rush.
We have
नहीं, it's very important that लोग ये गलती करते हैं कि if you're a good artist तुम intelligent भी होगे, तुम articulate भी होगे, तुम educated भी होगे, तुम deep भी होगे. First of all, people keep thinking of us as being very deep and intelligent souls, which we are not really. Musically ठीक है. तो अल्फाज किस तरह उसको to put everything together वो बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है. It's absolutely impossible. We are not very good at that. So आपके क्वेश्चन का मैं जवाब आधा वर्ष भाई साहब हाउ आर यू, तो जवाब बड़ा लंबा है. इसको आज
we'll take the time please.
अच्छा क्या what was the relevant part?
No, I said about Kabir, Amir Khusro, folk, the resonance.
So the reason I got attracted to Kabir and to Amir Khusro is because of the simplicity. मैंने बोला एक दफ़ा मैं एक अमेरिका में सब वेरी रिच गुजराती साहब थे, उन्होंने अपने घर में मेहंदी हसन का प्रोग्राम करवाया था. तो मैं जब पहुंचा लिटिल लेट, ही डिडंट रिकग्नाइज मी. आप कौन? मैंने बोला जी मेहंदी जी साहब ने बुलाया है. अच्छा आ जाओ. अंदर जाके जब बैठा मेहंदी साहब उठ के अरे यार शुजात है बहुत अच्छा किया तुम आ गए हो. सो ही वॉज हैप्पी कि चलो एक तो कोई आया है सर. तो सामने बैठ के हारमोनियम मिला के ये भी मेरे पास आके बैठ गए जल्दी से होस्ट, बिकॉज ही रियलाइज कि अरे बाप रे ये तो कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट आदमी है. चलो बैठ. मेहंदी हसन साहब ने नावक अंदाज जिगर दीदाए जाना होंगे, नीम बिस्मिल कई होंगे कई बेजान होंगे. अब गाना शुरू किया तो इसने मुझे कोहनी मारी, ये क्या गा रहा है. The truth is I don't know. मेरी उर्दू इतनी अच्छी है ही नहीं, मेरी हिंदी इतनी अच्छी नहीं है. तो मैं छोटी छोटी चीज़ से रियलाइज़ किया कि बिकॉज आई एम स्पेंडिंग सो मच टाइम विद नोट्स एंड म्यूजिक और सुर, देयर इज आई एम नॉट एबल टू गो वेरी डीप इनटू अंडरस्टैंडिंग. मगर कबीर और अमीर खुसरो में जो दो लोग नजर आए जो बहुत सिंपल बात करते हैं, सिंपल, इट्स इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड, अब कोई भी समझ सकता है. पता बोला वृक्ष से सुनो वृक्ष बन रहा है, अब के पतझड़ ना मिले, दूर पड़ेंगे जाए, पता बोला वृक्ष से. ये कॉन्वर्सेशन कितना सिंपल है. वृक्ष बोला पत्ते से, पत्ते मेरे भाई, वृक्ष बोला पत्ते से सुन पत्ते मेरे भाई, यही जगत की रीत है, एक जाए. कितना सिंपल है, सब लोग समझ सकते हैं. This is why I find it very attractive.
And because we are out of time, but I do want to ask, what is your children's relationship with music, and what was your role in their developing a relationship with music, if they have one?
My daughter is a painter. She paints, so she enjoys. There is some creativity there. My son realized very early on that all these struggles that I was going through, and I was going through such a bad patch at that time, I had no reason to push my son into starting the sitar, because I realized that फिर वो सितार बजाएगा, फिर उसको मेरे साथ compare करेंगे. So if he wants to, he's welcome. But I found that there is a creativity in it. He started playing the guitar, he started playing the keyboards, he started singing, he started writing. So he composes, and they're both extremely very connected with music and creativity. But for me, it was again very clear that I did not want to push them into being a 8th generation सितारिस्ट, because like I said, ये कोई इतनी बड़ी बात नहीं है, गाना बजाना करो तो ठीक, नहीं तो one of my students, some of them are performing brilliantly, they will take the name ahead. They should be allowed to do whatever.
That is such a radical note, because the idea of also a gharana expanding outside those of blood, but to those who continue the legacy voluntarily. Thank you, Shujaat, for honoring the art and for honoring your legacy and yourself. Thank you.